Hi! In this video, we'll learn about special questions in English. Now, the first thing we need to know about special questions is their function. In other words, why we ask special questions. The reason we ask special questions is because we are missing certain information, and by raising a special question, we are trying to get that information. For example, Jessica's brother moved to London last month for work. Now, if we do not know the location Jessica's brother moved to, then we ask where. If we do not know the time Jessica's brother made the move, then we ask when. If we do not know the reason Jessica's brother moved for, then we ask why. If we do not know the subject who made the move, then we ask who. If we do not know the personal relation of the subject, then we ask whose. And if we do not know the specific action he took, then we ask what, so on and so forth. On the slide, we'll learn about sentence structure of special questions. Now, we always start a special question sentence with a special question pronoun. Then we add auxiliary verb. Just a quick note here. You may already know that auxiliary verb always changes per subject as well as per tense. If you want to learn more about this, I would recommend you to check my video on general questions. In that video, on one of the slides, I show the usage of auxiliary verb per each tense form in English. I'll leave the link to that video in the comment section below if you want to check that one out. Now back to our special question sentence structure. After auxiliary verb, we put subject, and then after subject, we add verb, and then the rest of the sentence follows. Now let's look at the special question sentence structure in a few examples. Now we'll use this sentence, affirmative sentence. Tom goes to office every month to attend manager's meeting, and ask all special questions to this sentence. If we do not know the location, then we'll ask as following. Where does Tom go every month to attend manager's meeting? As you can see here, we started with a special question pronoun, and then we have auxiliary verb does, and then we have subject Tom, and after subject we have verb in its root form go, and then we have the rest of the sentence, time as well as the reason. As you can see, we do not have location in this sentence anymore because location office in the special question sentence has been replaced by the special question pronoun where. Now, if we do not know the time in the sentence, then we'll ask as following. When does Tom go to office to attend manager's meeting? Once again, as you can see, we start with a special question pronoun when. Then we have auxiliary verb does. Then we have subject Tom. And after subject we have verb in its root form go. And then we have the rest of the sentence. We have location office. And we have the reason to attend manager's meeting. But we do not have every month like time in this sentence because time has been replaced by the special question pronoun when. And if we do not know the reason why Tom goes to office every month, then we can ask as following. Why does Tom go to office every month? Once again, we start with a special question pronoun why, and we have auxiliary verb does. And after auxiliary verb, we have subject Tom, and then we have verb in its root form, And then we have the rest of the sentence. We have location to office, and we have time every month. But we do not have the reason to attend manager's meeting because the reason has been replaced by the special question pronoun why. On the previous slide, we learned about sentence structure of special questions. On this, as well as following few slides, however, we'll learn about some exceptions as well as additional notes we need to know in relation to this rule. Now, the first exception applies to special questions raised to the subject of the sentence. Now, if we ask a special question to the subject of the sentence, we start the sentence with a special question pronoun who or what, which replaces subject in the sentence. And then after the special question pronoun, we immediately put verb in its proper tense and singular form. Which means, unlike regular special questions, in special questions raised to the subject of the sentence, we do not put any auxiliary verb after special question pronoun. Now let's look at it in a few examples to make it more clear. Tom asked me to wait. Now if we ask a special question to the subject of the sentence, it would be as following. Who asked me to wait? As you can see here, we started the sentence with a special question pronoun who, which replaced the subject in the sentence, and then we put the verb in its proper tense. And we did not put any auxiliary verb after special question pronoun. The reason is because we do not have a subject, therefore there is not any necessity for an auxiliary verb to be in between special question pronoun and the subject. Another example would be as following. Mom is cleaning the basement. And if we ask a special question to the subject of the sentence, it would be as following. Who is cleaning the basement? As you can see, again, we kept the sentence as it is. We only replaced the subject mom with the special question pronoun who. Now, you need to remember that this rule only applies to who or what when they are raised to the subject of the sentence. It does not apply to who or what when they are raised to the object of the sentence. For example, I saw my neighbor at the park. In this sentence, I is the subject of the sentence, my neighbor is the object of the sentence. And if we ask who to the object of the sentence, we will say it as following. Who did I see at the park? As you can see, we started with the special question pronoun who, which replaced the object, my neighbor, in the sentence. And then after it, we'll put auxiliary verb did, because we also have a subject in this sentence, I. And then after that, we put verb and the rest of the sentence. After who or what, ask as a subject of the sentence, the verb always comes in its singular form. For example, your friends are waiting at the door. As you can see here in this affirmative sentence, the subject is in the plural form, therefore the verb is also in the plural form, are waiting. But if we ask a special question to the subject of the sentence, it would be as following. Who is waiting at the door? As you can see, the verb became singular. The reason is because who, as a special question pronoun, is always in the singular form. Because when we ask who, we do not know anything about subject, the singular form. Another example would be as following. Kids love playing outside. As you can see here, kids is in the plural form. Therefore, verb love is also in the plural form. But if we ask a question to the subject of the sentence, who loves playing outside? The verb became third person singular because who is in a singular form. Now, the third rule we need to know when it comes to the sentence structure special questions is the special questions raised in relation to attributive adjectives in a sentence. As you may already know, attributive adjectives are not independent parts of speech. They're always dependent on the nouns that they are attributed to. Therefore, when we ask a special question to an attributive adjective, the noun that they are attributed to has to come right after the special question pronoun raised in relation to that attributive adjective. For example, my sister is older than me. As you can see in this sentence, my is an attributive adjective, and it is dependent on the noun that comes after it, sister. Now, if we ask a question to this attributive adjective, my, we have to put sister right after that question. For example, whose sister is older than me? Another example, you stayed at the hotel for 5 days. Now, if we ask a question to the number 5, which is dependent on the noun that comes after it, days, we have to add that noun right after the question. For example, how many days did you stay at the hotel? And likewise, because attributive adjective cannot be in a sentence independent of a noun that's attributed to, when we ask a question to that noun, adjective immediately drops out of the sentence in the special question. Let's see a few examples. I stayed at a nice hotel. Here, nice is an attributive adjective describing hotel. Now, if we ask a question to hotel, immediately the word nice will drop out of the sentence. Where did I stay? Because it could not be in the sentence independent of the word hotel. Another example, my friend was late for the party. Here, my friend, my, is an attributive adjective for the noun friend. Now, if we ask a question to the noun friend, the attributive adjective my will drop out of the sentence. Who was late for the party? And the reason is because it could not be in a sentence independent of the noun it's attributed to. The last exception I would like you to learn in relation to the sentence structure special questions is about the use of the present perfect tense with the question when. Now, if you have watched my video on general questions, you would have known that when we raise a question to an affirmative sentence, we always keep the question sentence in the same tense form as the affirmative sentence is. However, there is one exception to this rule. And the exception is that when we have a sentence in the present perfect tense and we have to raise a question with the special question pronoun when, in that case, when we bring the auxiliary verb before the subject, we have to replace it with the past indefinite tense form. We can never use present perfect tense with the question when. Let's see a few examples. Jess has come this week. This is a sentence in the present perfect tense. When did Jess come? In the question form, however, we changed it to the past indefinite. Because with the word when, we can never use present perfect tense form. Another example, kids have woken up. Again, this is a sentence in the present perfect tense. But when we ask a question, when did kids wake up? We changed it into the past indefinite tense form. On this, as well as following few slides, we'll learn when we can use which special question pronoun in our speech. We use who when we ask about the actor, the human subject of a verb. For example, Grandpa watered the flowers. Who watered the flowers? We use whom, or sometimes we can replace it with who, when we ask about the human object of a verb. For example, he gave the flowers to Jessica. Who did he give the flowers? We use whose when we ask about the possessor owner in the sentence. For example, these are Tom's shoes. Whose shoes are these? We use what when we ask about the non-human subject as well as object of a verb. For example, she has lost the keys. What has she lost? We use which when we ask about the distinctive adjective in a sentence. For example, the red car is mine. Which car is mine? We use why when we ask about the reason or cause of a verb. For example, she left early in order not to miss the bus. Why did she leave early? We use where when we ask about the location in a sentence. For example, Dad is going to the office now. Where is Dad going now? We use when we ask about the time in a sentence. For example, you spoke to him yesterday. When did you speak to him? We use how when we ask about the way or manner things are. For example, the weather is terrible these days. How's the weather these days? We use how many or how much when we ask about the quantity in a sentence. For example, there is some milk in the fridge. How much milk is there in the fridge? We use how long when we ask about duration in a sentence. For example, it will take me a week to finish this work. How long will it take me to finish this work? We use how old when we ask about age. For example, his son is 40 years old now. How old is his son now? We use how often when we ask about frequency. For example, he cooks twice a week. How often does he cook? Practice time. Only 3 apples are left in the basket. How many apples are left in the basket? It's 5:03 at the moment. What time is it at the moment? Mom usually finishes work at 5. When does Mom usually finish work? Dad told Tom to drive carefully. Who told Tom to drive carefully? He saw his friends at the park. Who did he see at the park? She's 3 years old. How old is she? Mom scolded Jess for being loud. Why did Mom scold Jess? We are going to meet in front of the school. Where are we going to meet? You have been to London twice. How many times have you been to London? There is a giant tree in the yard. What is there in the yard? Last but not least, to practice more, I would like you to ask special questions to the underlined words in the sentences below. You can write down your questions in the comment section below. I'll try to check them for you whenever I can. Thanks for watching, and please do not forget to subscribe to the channel for more videos to come.